Greetings, everyone. My name is Father Greg Fines Clinton, and I'm the parish priest at St. George's Anglican Church in beautiful Newcastle, Ontario. You may be aware that Anglican churches across the Diocese of Toronto have responded to the COVID-19 situation by canceling all public worship services and social gatherings. This will be the case for the foreseeable future. This challenges us as church to find creative ways to continue being a community and supporting each other during difficult times. One of the ways that we will be responding to this situation at St. George's is to offer a short video reflection on the Sunday readings so that these videos can be viewed from home. A link to the Sunday readings will accompany these video posts so that you can enjoy the readings at home before watching the video. The Gospel reading for Sunday, March 15th is from John chapter 4, verses 5 to 42. John's Gospel records an incident in which Jesus and his disciples were traveling from Judea in southern Israel to Galilee in the north. They passed through the region of Samaria as they traveled. Jesus stopped to rest at a well where he met a woman and asked her for a drink of water. On the surface, this might not seem like a very big deal at all, but there had been long-standing tensions between Samaritans and Jews. It's a story in which Jesus went to great lengths to overcome the barriers that divided and separated people. Centuries before Jesus' time, many Israelites had been taken as captives and removed from their homeland. However, some Israelites were allowed to remain in this region of Samaria. Many of the Israelites who remained in Samaria intermarried with their captors, had families, and practiced the religion of the occupying force. By Jesus' time, resentment between Jews and Samaritans had been building for generations. We see these tensions play out in the conversation between Jesus and the woman from whom he asked for a drink. The woman's first response was to ask how Jesus, a Jew, could ask her, a Samaritan woman, for a drink. With this one question, she was acknowledging that Jesus was breaking down cultural, religious, and gender barriers that had existed for centuries. By all accepted norms, Jesus had no business speaking to her, let alone asking her for a drink. A dialogue ensues in which Jesus compares well water to the life-giving refreshment that he offers people. As the conversation unfolds, it becomes clear that Jesus isn't simply talking about the physical thirst that a person feels on a hot day. Rather, Jesus is offering something that could quench the emotional and spiritual thirst of the soul. When the conversation quickly turns uncomfortably deep, the woman tries to take back control. She deflects the conversation by changing the subject to religion, anything to take the conversation off herself. She draws Jesus into a conversation comparing Jewish temple worship with the Samaritan practice of worshiping on Mount Gerizim. Jesus remains persistent, however. He tells her that the place of worship is secondary. Recognizing God for who God is the real priority. What's important is that we worship God in spirit and in truth. That's when Jesus reveals that he's more than a prophet or a teacher, that he's actually the Messiah, the Christ. That revelation is key because if Jesus truly is the Christ, as he claimed to be, then God is no longer contained on a temple or in a temple or on a mountain. God is on the loose and can be encountered wherever we are. Putting it another way, in the person of Jesus, God is not contained on a mountain, in a temple, or in a church. God is simply living and active and walking in our midst. What happens next is very interesting. Something within the woman recognized the truth of what Jesus said, so she went home and told everyone in her town. Jesus responded by staying with them in their town for 2 more days, eating with them and teaching them. Imagine for a moment how Jesus' disciples would have responded to him staying in a Samaritan town. Given the history between the two groups, Jesus' decision would have been very anxiety-inducing for the disciples. Despite all that, and despite all the differences between their traditions, Jesus decided to stay. His decision to stay in a Samaritan town speaks to the importance that he placed on people and on faith development. Encouraging people in their faith, both as individuals and as communities, takes priority over secondary issues like custom and location. So, what does this hold for you and I today? This story is extremely relevant to us right now at St. George's. During this time, it's very important for us to be able to separate those things that are essential from those things that simply are not. As Jesus spoke to the woman he met at the well, and it did not take him very long to cut past the distractions and to get to the heart of the matter. He told her that it was time to worship God in spirit and in truth. At its core, this is an invitation to focus on what's truly important and to concentrate less on secondary things. As he stood before her, claiming to be God's Messiah and the Christ, he was telling her that God had come to her seeking a relationship. In the person of Jesus Christ, God came to that woman in person, just like he comes to you and I. He was telling her that a relationship with God is more important than where she worshiped. And God tells us the same thing today. We all face uncertainties in life. None of us know how this coronavirus is going to unfold. We don't know what our parish or ourselves as individuals will look like in 10 years. We don't know where we'll be. What we do know is that God is reaching out to us, seeking a relationship with each of us personally. It's our responsibility to figure out how to respond to God in both spirit and in truth. Amen.